You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Folks, this can't be real life. It feels like a sit-down in commemoration of the 20-year anniversary to come here of the World Junior Team. That's why I'm Anthony Stewart. It is Nick Alberga, Anthony Stewart, live on location here at Stadium Swim in Vegas. Is this real life, Stewie?
Well, evidently it's a dream because I didn't get the memo that we're supposed to be wearing shorts and T-shirts here. I'm here business casual here, but again, you're looking good. You look like a fellow Vegas person here, so I'm excited to be here. It's about 45 degrees Celsius for those that are in Canada, but very excited and always great working with the Muzzy here on the show.
I think we're blending in. Full disclosure, I wanted to wear a beater on the show today, show off the pipes a bit, but again, Mitch Marner, we're going to talk some Mitch Marner, baby, over the next 45 minutes, maybe the next week. So someone make a trade. That's all I'm here for. I want to see a blockbuster or something. We're going to get into the Leafs conversation. Should mention as well, Dave Pagnotta, the fourth period, is going to drop by on set here at Stadium Swim. But what an atmosphere, man. Like, attention is brewing in this market. I drove by the Sphere last night. I am pumped for this.
Yeah, it's funny. I was on a cab over here, which $20. Everything's getting a little bit more expensive these days, but that's neither here nor there. And the cab driver was talking about the Vegas Golden Knights being bigger than the LA Raiders. So hockey's in the air, and what an amazing weekend with the draft with some young guys. I think it's going on 23 years or 21 years since I've been drafted, but definitely it's excitement. You can feel it. It's brewing.
What do you remember about the day you were drafted?
I was sweating like I am today. That was before Perspirec. So those young athletes out there, if I give you one piece of advice, LA Looks for the hair, get the curls going, and the Perspirec deodorant, antiperspirant, which helps because you'll be sweating buckets to say the least.
Oh, dude, it's a disaster. I've not mastered the art of traveling to a destination. You know why? Because everything's limited in quantity what you can bring over. And I land in Vegas only to find out the cologne I brought, which usually gets me where I need to get, all over my duffel bag.
So that smell is what you're saying.
Yeah, dude, I smell like a cheap suit right now. But no, it's a really exciting time, and I think it really puts life into perspective. Even taking the flight yesterday, a lot of kids are about to be drafted on that flight, and sort of the journey begins, right?
Yeah, and I had some great conversations with Pete DeBoer and talking about his run that they had with Dallas. And I saw Scott Luce, who's with the scouting department with the Vegas Golden Knights. He drafted me 21 years ago. So I tell the kids, time flies, but enjoy it. Being able to stay in the game as a player, commentator, whatever it may be, the game of hockey has been great. So I'm always excited to, especially this time of year. Getting
down to brass tacks, we are here to cover the Toronto Maple Leafs here on Leafs Morning Take. I guess we're still technically calling it Leafs Morning Take. I understand you're watching this in the afternoon back home, but also it is 11 a.m. PT here in Vegas. So we're soaking in the sunshine here at Stadium Swim. Your expectations, Stu, for the Maple Leafs this week? Trade Marner?
Yeah. If there's a time to get it done, I would say now, right? Marner does have his bonus that's due, I believe, on Monday.
7.5 sheets.
7.5 sheets cash money. But I think now is an opportunity for Brad Treliving to really put his stamp and his imprint on this team. So he's going to be active. You heard the rumors about potentially them being in on Tanev, possibly Pesce, but I'm hearing Pesce might be going to New Jersey or Nashville, something along those lines as well. I might have some inside sources on that. Okay. But I think for them, it's just rounding out this roster, really putting your fingerprints on this. And, the elephant in the room is what's going to happen with Mitch Marner. And, the one thing I will say about that, yes, an amazing player, but look at the Stanley Cup champions the last couple of years. They were not afraid to make the big move. And that's the one thing that me as a player and being in the NHL, and I played for the Florida Panthers, where we called it the elbow room effect 20 years ago, where we weren't even allowed to go there. We weren't allowed to live on Las Olas, that, you have to find a way to make changes that's going to benefit the team. And I was in a market that had zero expectations, but every year we didn't make playoffs, 4 or 5 players out the door. There was a coach gone. There was a GM gone. So in this market, it seems that the moves are predicated by what's going to be the reaction. What's going to be the tweets? You see my tweets. I'm tweeting about it. But again, I think Treliving needs to just, put out that noise and do what he feels best for this roster.
Stewie, I've been monitoring Twitter, obviously, over the last couple of days since Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. There was a tweet that you put out there that tickled my fancy, if you will. What was it?
My tweet was that the last two hosts of the NHL All-Star Weekend went on to win the Cup the following year. So based on that formula, who is due to win the Stanley Cup next year?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, so that was, again, I've been getting caught in the algorithm where my tweets weren't getting a lot of traction, but I think that got about 60,000 views. So I think the fans are believers, and I'm excited for that. But again, I will stand here and I will sit here. When the Maple Leafs are playing to the best of their abilities, when Marner's on, Matthews is on, Tavares, and they're getting the goaltending, they can compete and beat anybody in the league, in my opinion.
In Chief we trust, and certainly the Craig Berube era underway, all waiting to find out what's going to happen here when it comes to Mitch Marner and Brad Treliving. I think we're waiting for the first domino to fall here in Sin City as well. There's the Bertuzzi conversation. There's the Domi conversation. We're going to jump into that. Should mention as well, Monday coming up, July 1st, Free Agent Frenzy and Daily Faceoff has a special. I'm going to be on a panel for that, talking some Maple Leafs live from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Tyler Remchuk's going to be on there, NHL insider Frank Saravalli, Carter Hutton, Colby Cohen, all cast of characters to break down free agency. Again, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Daily Faceoff live free agency special. You don't want to miss it, Stu. I think all hell's going to break loose over the next couple of days leading up to that because teams, believe it or not, players do talk to teams behind the scenes. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right?
I don't know nothing about that, but yes, I've seen some conversations in person already, and there are some current NHLers that I've bumped into since I've been here in the 24 hours that I've been here, but that's par for the course from what I've been told and maybe have seen here and there.
We got to reshuffle something because we all know people are talking behind the scenes. I'll just say this. I really enjoyed the Stanley Cup final. I love the fact that it went 7 games, but I think this is way too close to Game 7 to the draft. Like, I think Florida's having their parade tomorrow. And then think about the Brass have to fire down here and do a draft. And I get it, whatever. You won the Stanley Cup, but I think we got to figure out this schedule a bit more.
Yeah, I was going to tweet this, but I'll just say this now. What do you think about this? What if the periods were 15, 15, 20? You do the math on that over an 80-game season, you cut the volume about 13 games. So I think shortening the games a little bit, I think would, not have to go into making it a 78, 76, worry about the gates. But for me, I think it starts too late. It finishes too late. I'd like to see it done by, June 4th, maybe the latest, probably the week before, because teams now are scrambling. And I'm going through the draft process with a couple prospects that are with me, and teams aren't as well-versed or educated on some of these prospects just because of the volume of the playoffs and everything in between.
Take a wild guess how many days it's been since Game 7 against Boston.
I would say 29.
Dude, 52.
Whoa.
It's been a long, long time, man. It's just, again, that Cup final dragged on, but I will say I really enjoyed it. Obviously, I had the opportunity to cover with the NHL, do a pregame show for 4 of those 7 games. It was an outstanding atmosphere. Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup. Your alma mater, so you love that, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell me you're one of these Edmonton guys, okay?
I want to see, I want to see Canada's legacy. I'm a Canadian sports fan, and, ultimately everyone's a Connor McDavid fan. I believe it whether you're a Leaf fan or not. And I saw the tweets about him coming home potentially.
Yes.
That would be amazing. But, again, it's good to see hockey well in the South. But I was itching for Edmonton just because of the storylines that goes behind Connor McDavid winning it.
I believe in a journey. I think Florida was ready to win a Stanley Cup. I know they're in the Maple Leafs division. I know they fucking punted the Leafs last year, but that team was built to win a Stanley Cup. Paul Maurice, one of the best people you can cover in pro sports, never mind hockey, quality human being, used to be the head coach of the Leafs. Happy for him. Happy for Matthew Tkachuk, Montour, all those guys. Well-deserved. Sucks. My boy Adam Henrique was so close. God damn, he was clutching that Stanley Cup final as well.
He's going to sign a big ticket after that playoffs, right?
I was telling you, Henrique's family. Oh, baby.
I was on the ice with him last summer, and he's a grizzled veteran. But I'm like, this guy can still play. So he's got another 4 or 5 years minimum. How old is he? 32?
He's 34.
Right. He's got another 4 years easily. So if you're looking for a guy that's going to step up and play in the playoffs and put up some numbers and do what he needs to do, you have to take a flyer on Rico, and that's not I'm not his agent. So
I pretty much am.
I'll give you that information for free.
I've been connecting the dots. You know who his father-in-law is, the great Stumpy Thomas, who has been working behind the scenes, by the way.
He's with Tampa, right? Or is he? No, he was with Tampa.
He was.
So you're saying he's coming to Toronto?
He's been working behind the scenes. I don't think it's going to happen. We'll see what happens with Adam
He'll be
Henrique.
on this show every week. Hey, tell us about what happened yesterday in the dressing room.
We're going to have an exclusive. But no, I'm sure Rico would cut me out of his life if he signed with the Maple Leafs. I wouldn't hear from the guy again. But anyways, the opening segment brought to you by Greta Bar YYZ. For a good time, find Greta, 590 King Street West. Weekly specials, live sports, over 60-plus arcade games. Let the games begin. Go big. Go to Greta Bar YYZ. So naturally, the conversation shifting the focus to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's start with the conversations of the day. You know, I was a bit perplexed because Flames fans warned me of this, that Brad Treliving was always the last guy at the party but didn't get his guy. And naturally, the conversation comes out today. The Leafs were there at the finish line with Jacob Markstrom. I don't care. He is a New Jersey Devil. They got to hammer something out with a goalie, Stu. That's where it starts for me, man. I don't want it to be Brossois. I need a bona fide stud. How do you feel about the crease?
Yeah, and, you know, what we were talking about, especially on this show during the injury that he got midseason, was he wasn't over the hump yet where he can prove that he was a bona fide number one. He was a number 1A, 1B type of guy. But part of the plight of being an NHL goaltender, the best ability is availability. So you got to now stay healthy, which I think was one of his main concerns. And especially in this market where that has been a big concern for a lot of the goalies, just staying healthy. With what's on the line right now with this window with the Toronto Maple Leafs, they cannot afford to have somebody that's going to be their number one be on the shelf for 20, 25 games. So they have to go out and try to bring in a guy that's going to push them. But again, give him that comfortability to now get his games in and put a couple games together. But for me, if he had another 10, 15 starts where he did stay healthy, I would have full confidence in him being a number one. And, you know, it's just in this market, it's really, really tough. And, you know, you look at some of the other goaltenders in other markets, you're seeing what's going on in Vegas, but you're seeing Ottinger in Dallas, right? Where he stepped in, he was the guy right away.
Yeah.
It's just different here because you need a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. So whatever happens, Martin Jones on line 4, please, right?
Yeah, plan B is always important. We all know that in life, but plan C as well. Martin Jones, I think, was a big factor for the
What
Maple
about
Leafs.
Freddie?
I talked about this 2 months ago. I said, do not be shocked if Freddie Anderson's name's out there in the trade market. No, thank you.
Yeah,
no, thank
but again, it was announced today that one of their goaltenders in Russia is coming over.
Yeah.
And just look at some of the success that some of these other teams where a relative unknown guy comes over and then 2-3 years, he's a legitimate star in the league. So that's another ace up their sleeve, hopefully. But again, we heard the rumors of him signing the next possibly 3-year deal, but we'll see how it goes.
Got a big ask in the chat right now, and I have to credit producer Vic for this. So I didn't say, but at and subscribe to our show at the Leafs Nation 401, folks. If you want more on-location stuff like this here at Stadium Swim, the NHL Draft, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button at the Leafs Nation 401. Here's a small request. If we get to 100 likes, I will agree to let Stewie throw me in this beautiful pool behind here.
Oh,
so that's all the motivation you
Let's
need
go.
to hit that like button. Stewie's going to dunk me in this fucking pool. So
I'll give you a
that?
Wendy too as we do it, but that's a long time coming. So maybe if we do, we'll set it to 75. Maybe we'll stick at.
There's the incentive. If we get to 100, I'll just jump into this pool. I need it anyways. It is so damn hot here in Vegas, but we're so happy to be here at Stadium Swim. I want to get a bit into Detroit, what they did yesterday, raising some eyebrows. Obviously, you're connected behind the scenes. Jake Wallman attached with a second-round pick going to San Jose for future considerations. What do you think Stevie Y's up to, Stewie?
Well, you look at the Yzer plan and what he's been up to, right? It's been 4 or 5 years since they made the playoffs. They have some young guys, but they're just not there, right? And there's an expectation that he was supposed to come in and revamp this roster and make them a contender. And you know what? I've actually liked their seasons for the last couple of years. They just haven't been consistent. But the one thing I could say with Detroit that, I know from some of my conversations on the inside that I think he wants to get a little bit more serious on the back end. So that's nothing against Jake Wallman. Great personality. Again, I know him. I trained with him in the summer. He's a great defenseman. But I think they need to get a little bit more serious, right? Yeah. And that's not necessarily about personality or anything like that. It's just like, you want to know what you're getting out of your number 3 defenseman. You're knowing what you're getting out of your number 4, right? So they've had some inconsistencies. Justin Hall.
Justin
Wall,
Hall.
Justin Hall. That signing doesn't seem like it's been great. So I think for them, they need to get some flexibility and bring in guys that are going to say, hey, you know what? rain, hell or high water, they're going to come in, score their 20 goals, be a plus 25, and play some good hockey in Motown.
Yeah, so just speculation for me. I think Jacob Chychrun is a name to watch out there. But what if there's one thing we've learned about Stevie Y as an executive, expect the unexpected.
Stamkos?
I don't know what it's going to be, but you take a Wallman out, and they're pretty young on the back end. You would have to think maybe they're targeting a stud guy that we have no clues even out there on the market.
Yeah, and you've seen the moves that he's made over the last couple of years. He's not afraid to bring in veteran guys.
Yeah.
So again, he's, I think at the draft, that's a guy to keep an eye on him making a big move. That's a great point.
Yeah, because again, you like to think it from the Maple Leafs perspective, reactionary. So Ottawa's made a substantial move. You get Linus Ullmark, the Wallman trade, something. It's got to be a domino of some sorts. The Atlantic Division in general, here we go again. And that's the thing with the Maple Leafs. I think as we move forward with this organization, there's never a guarantee anymore, in my opinion, they're going to make the playoffs. Because I do feel like the teams below them are getting stronger.
They are. But, for me, it's going back to my comments about when those big guys are the big guys, they can dominate games, dominate series. So I think how do you get that consistency out them? I think they did the right thing in bringing in Craig Berube, who could be that guy to motivate those guys. And, from a player's perspective, sometimes, and me personally, you not lose respect, but you don't really have that same passion and belief in their system if they didn't necessarily play. So anything that Craig Berube is going to ask you to do, it's something that he's done himself times 10. If he's telling you to go head first in the corner, he's done that 10 times.
Yeah.
If he wants you to go out and fight or play physical, that's something he's done. So when you have someone that's been there, for me personally, I'm like, man, this guy's a guy that bled in this game, that earned a lot in this game, and I'm going to respect him and what he brings to the table a little bit more.
Again, if you're just tuning in, Nick Alberga, Anthony Stewart here live at Stadium Swim in Sin City ahead of the NHL Draft Round 1 coming up on Friday. Breaking down the very latest, Dave Pagnotta expected to drop by on set, on location at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, find us in podcast form as well. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Also, don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com for the very latest. You dancing now? So
I'm feeling
Jake
the
Wallman,
music.
all I can think about is Jake Wallman doing the gritty 18 times.
I'm thinking about the strawberry daiquiri I'm going to have a little bit later. I'm known for the strawberry daiquiris when I come to Vegas. But, again, just the excitement in the air. It'll only be in before noon on the Pacific time. But I'm excited for the day, to say the least.
Yeah, and we got Dave Pagnotta live on location, ready to hop by in mere seconds. We're going to get him hooked up. We're going to talk some Mitch Marner. We're going to talk about what's going to happen on the trade front, the signing season for the Maple Leafs. It seems like for the first time in a long time, a lot of what-ifs, but the Maple Leafs actually have money here, Stu.
They do. And, for me, and being in some of the conversations, typically with your the guys that are going to be potential UFAs, these conversations should be already happening. So I'm a little bit, anxious to see what's going on in the Bertuzzi front or the Domi front, because it's almost too quiet. So I think something really big is going to happen, or you're going to see them walking out the door come July 1. So, the flexibility with some of the money, especially next year, you can really revamp this roster. So for me, what's going to happen with some of the young guys? Is Minton going to make it? Are they making room for Cowan? Is Nick Robertson finally going to get a full 82 games to go out there and cook, or is he going to still be up and down, right? So that's what you're thinking about. But you say that, but why? Look at all these other rosters that have young guys that have major roles. Dallas Stars, Stankoven, Johnson, Bork. You need young guys producing.
Right? Cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
You're trying to compare those guys to Nick Robertson, Stu?
Opportunity, timing, and opportunity, and I say they've missed the mark. But he's a guy. At the end of the day, we could sit here and debate and say, oh, this, that. His numbers back up for what he's done. So consistently with 80 games, he's going to score 20 goals. And a guy that's in his entry level or his second year coming out of his entry level, he's done his job so far.
Fair enough. That is the
What's
hottest
the chat
take.
saying on that? Let me see what they're saying on that.
I'm not on the
Stewie
chat right
sucks,
now.
yeah.
I don't know if the chat's going to be supportive of Nick Robertson coming back. I just don't see it.
Well, what are you going to do? And this is another thing, too, and this is what irks me, right? Well, let's go bring in Krause, right? Is Krause going to be the guy that comes in here? They already had Krause, and they traded the Krause already back to Arizona.
There's a guy in Edmonton who's lost in Krause, better than lost in Krause. But
right? Richie, right?
Yeah.
Krause is a better version of Richie, but I'm saying is to say he's going to be the answer.
Yeah.
Or let's go get Dakota Joshua. You already had him. Let's go get a Connor. Well, you already had him. Let's go get a Trevor Moore or a McKayev. We already had him,
I think we just
right?
fold the franchise, move them to Quebec City at this point.
You got to keep the guys you have. You got the draft, develop, and that's how you really make an impact.
All right, folks, we're going to take a short break here, live on location at Stadium Swim, other side. We're going to get juicy with it. Mitch Marner, this guy thinks he's signing a billion-year extension. Give him 17 cheats a year. Why not? Dave Pagnotta of the Fourth Period NHL Network and Sirius XM NHL Network Radio is coming up after this. Don't go anywhere.
Start wherever you want.
Mm-hmm. Stewie thinks he's signing an 8-year deal, 13.
I didn't say that. He's gone.
You changed your tune. Stadium Swim Leafs Morning Take on location. Nick Alberga, Anthony Stewart, and our first guest of our 3-day program here. It's Dave Pagnotta. What's going on, buddy?
It's warm.
You got the memo. I missed the memo.
Yeah.
I thought we had to be business cash, but
I told Stewie to wear a suit, actually.
Oh,
yeah, I'll bring the
rough.
Speedo next time.
You should. You can do a wardrobe change in between.
Beyonce.
So what do you think of the digs, man? Like,
This is awesome. I love it here. I've been here a bunch. This place is awesome. This is a great setup you guys got. You guys are, and especially with the cabana setup, everybody can kind of.
all
stay
I need
calm.
is bottle service right here. We're trying to work our connections, get some Tito's or something, and we're good to go.
Yeah,
Ooh,
there you go.
I remember that.
Yeah,
That'd be
we've had
okay.
some nights together happen. We were going to do it again this week, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
All right, where's Marner going?
Not Utah.
Wait, that rumor was false? I thought Twitter, everything's right on Twitter.
That honestly, so these kinds of things, when they start taking a life of their own and they get like several hundred retweets or reposts, whatever the hell they're called now.
Yeah.
The Leafs were pissed. They were genuinely upset. I spoke to a couple people within front office, and they were not happy at all about it. It happens, whatever it is, what it is. But no, he's not going. His agent and their camp were not happy either.
Where are we at?
I think the Leafs are listening. I think there's an understanding as to where are the realistic options for Mitch. If he's going to go anywhere, if he's going to waive, where are the realistic options? So the Leafs got to figure that out, have those discussions. If they get something they think they like, then they'll go to Mitch and Darren and everybody there and say, all right, here's what we got. What do you think? But I do believe he's not going to San Jose. Like the Sharks aren't going to work out a deal and all of a sudden he's going to say yes. There are a few teams, and I don't know the exact number. I don't know if there is a specific number. I believe there are 4 teams that he would go to. I think there's a few more. But it all comes down to what Treliving and the staff are going to pull off.
So does the implications of his July 1st signing bonus have a status for this trade? And does that now limit the sort of teams that'll be available for him based on them paying that at that time?
I think if they're going to do this, and I was told this by 2 separate people unsolicited, if they're going to do this, they're going to try to max out the return. And if that means paying his $7.25 million bonus, no problem. It's MLSE. Last time I checked, they've got some pockets. So they don't have any problem spending that money. And if it gets pushed to July 1 or July 2nd or 5th or August, so be it. But in terms of maximizing the dollars, if you're paying out that 7.25 and his actual dollar amount, 725, 775, whatever it is, that adds value. So they're going to try to max that as much as they can. Is there an extension in place? If there is, that adds value from the Leaf perspective. So I don't know if it'll get to that point, but in terms of them spending the money to pay his bonus, I was told that's a non-issue.
Quick question here, not to interrupt here. Does that 8th year, so him not getting that 8th year, does that really have an influence? Does that really have any basis on if he's going to sign it up? Because my thing is, he's going to be in the $150 million realm when it's all said and done.
Right.
The $7, $8, $10 million really make a difference.
No.
Yep.
Grand scheme of things, no.
Yep.
It is what it, it's.
How about the Paul Marner? Does it matter?
Well, I don't know. I haven't spoken to him.
Okay.
Paul's biggest fan here, by the way. Definitely.
You know you have to walk the streets of Toronto eventually. You live down like
I've been maintaining this take. Like, Mitch Marner's a great player.
Yes.
It's time. It's just time. Like,
I think so. Look, they got to do something, right? There has to be some type of change. And what was the messaging coming out of the season-ending press conference? There's going to be change. Now, you're not going to make it just for the sake of doing it, but you've got to make some kind of significant change in order to shift this team. And it's moving one of the big boys. And the captain's not waving. You're not trading Austin. And it's going to take a ridiculously huge trade to move on from Willie after getting that deal. So it's Mitch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, look, and I've said this before, he wants to stay. He loves being a Leaf.
Yeah.
He loves staying in Toronto. Like, all of that doesn't change the fact that he wants to be here. Toronto. We're in Vegas.
I think he wants to be in Vegas too.
Well, I mean, look, I think Vegas would be a team he would go to, would sign off for. I think Dallas would be. I think Chicago would be. I don't know how Chicago would work. I don't see a fit there. I don't get paid for that stuff, so let them figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think there is a few more, Nashville and a few more that he would seriously consider. But I agree. I think it's time, and I think it's better for all parties involved. There's too much BS that comes with that comes with the Marner contingent in the Toronto area.
Yeah.
Get a break from that. He'll probably thrive somewhere. He's come this close to 100 points a few times. He goes to the right environment. The guy's cracking over 100 next season.
Yeah, but I want to see it in the playoffs, though. He can get 3 billion points in the regular season.
But you're going to give up that. I mean, you look at the guys. Whatever you're giving up is based on what he can ultimately achieve, and what he's achieved in the playoffs is more points than Austin.
Oh, don't give me this, man.
Well, look, it's not just
empty calories, bro.
It's not just him. Is my point.
Yes.
It's everybody.
But that's frustrating for me with Leafs Nation, right? Say he did have 4 more goals.
Right.
That lack of 4 goals now erases his whole entire body of work.
Right.
So that's why I say it's almost the Larry Murphy treatment where they have to find somebody.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you have to be willing to make the big move, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, by process the elimination, the big move has to be him because it's not going to be Marner, JT, or Willie, right?
What team made a big move that everybody criticized?
Florida.
Chuck.
And
I have the infamous tweet. Remember it?
Kind of paid off.
Most lopsided trade in NHL history.
You
I had
tweeted
this
that?
tweet that Calgary won it lopsided.
You're going to the pool.
Everybody.
I know I am.
I looked at that. I said, "Holy crap! That's a good move."
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good move. You're getting Huberto. You're getting one of the most underrated defensemen, and this and that. It looked fantastic.
Yep.
Keith Tkachuk.
And you think, Treliving's, past lack of moves with maybe losing out on Gaudreau, not getting any for him, is that going to force his hand a little bit, or it's a completely different situation?
No, totally different situation. Again, first of all, the trade itself. Again, everybody thought it was a great trade, so nobody's going to look back and go, he shouldn't have. No, at the time, everybody makes that trade.
Yeah.
Johnny was a different situation. I think he wanted to move on, and while he did consider, obviously, Calgary, sometimes your hands are tied. As a manager, you want to keep the guy. As a coach, you want this guy to do something, and this, that, and the other. As a teammate, you want guys to stay, but ultimately, it's their decision if they want to leave at the end of it. So, Tree's been in a rough spot, but I don't put the fault on him for those situations.
All right, last one on Marner, because there are other players on this roster.
there?
I don't want to spend 35 minutes on
You
Mitch
sure?
Marner. I'm just over the
You
conversation.
should see the
Fucking end
text
it.
chain. You should see the text messages I get from this guy every 8 minutes about Mitch Marner.
Because, man, this is like approaching already Rick Nash territory. It took 8 fucking years for that guy to be dealt. Just get it over with.
Oh,
Rip
he's
the
getting
Band-Aid.
heated.
I'm
It
getting
was
heated.
Willie,
Getting
wasn't
heated.
it Willie last
I
year?
thought, yeah, that's,
A year and a half
I remember
ago,
that.
too.
No, I love Nylander. I love Matthews. Marner, I'm not a bit. I just think it's time. Last question on the Marner front. Your gut. What's your gut telling you? Does this happen over the next week and a half here? Percentage. We're in Vegas.
I think it happens this summer.
Okay.
Whether I don't think it happens before the draft.
Okay.
I mean, there might be a deal in principle, like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to pull this off and we'll do it July 1 after that e-transfer goes across.
Is that what they're doing for 7.5 sheets a year in e-transfer?
No, you get,
Unlikely.
you get direct deposits.
All right. Where do you want to steer now? Do you want to go into Bertuzzi and Domi? I thought it was kind of interesting that the whole news comes out that those guys are potentially going to market and the Leafs are linked to DeBrusque. Like, is this all like public posturing?
What I was told was it's time for the Leafs to step up, which to me means the offers that
On
have been
both guys?
presented on both guys. The offers that have been presented are not where they want to be, or close to it. Because normally it's, we got a little work to do, maybe this way, maybe that way. No, it was straight up, the Leafs need to step up. So on Domi's front, on Bertuzzi's front, that's kind of the messaging that I'm getting right now.
On term or dollars?
They wouldn't
Everything.
specify. I think it's just in general. My guess would be dollars. I don't know that 100%, but my gut would say dollars on that front. I don't think there's a long-term fit here for either guy, but you're probably looking at the 3 to 5 range, kind of mid. I mean, you're kind of teetering on long-term when you get closer to 5, but that was the messaging I got last night. Actually, flying into here was it's the Leafs need to step up. So maybe we'll get some more information on that later in the week on the two sides. They're also trying to get Timothy Liljegren locked up. They're in negotiations now to get him signed. It's easier to trade a guy with a contract in place versus a guy who's arbitration eligible or is an RFA in general, stuff like that. So, but they have had discussions. They're talking again this week about getting that done, and they're still open to trading them. They're looking for Big D. They want some big guys on that blue line, and they're not the only ones. There are a lot of teams looking to kind of shake up their blue line. I didn't get a chance to put it out. I got to tweet this later, but Utah is very aggressive in trying to get a big name defenseman on their blue line, and they're not the only ones. I think Toronto's trying to do something similar as well.
Trade or like signing
Trade.
wise? Wow.
On the goaltending front, have you heard anything more on the Wall potential extension? And do you have any news or information on this new prospect that the Leafs have in their system that's coming over from
The Russian
KHL?
kid?
Yeah.
I can't even say
Why
his
are you
name.
laughing?
I can't say his name.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't say it. I
Yeah,
can't do it. The new goalie?
Yeah,
Let's get our KHL insider on. For
I heard
that.
his nickname's AK.
There we
It's
go.
AK. No, that's what they called him.
Okay,
AK.
Actually-
that makes it easy.
Okay.
That makes it easy. Well, it sounds like Wall's done. Like you could,
Yeah.
with guys on expiring contracts or entering the final year of their deal, you can still agree. You can't not negotiate. You can still negotiate. It's different with UFAs where you're not allowed to negotiate, but you can talk and massage those conversations. Because last year at the draft, there were like 8 guys that already agreed to sign with the team. So, can't do it, but whatever.
Yeah.
With RFAs, you can have those talks, and then you just sign the paperwork on July 1. So Wall will be locked in. Russian kid, I'll be honest, I haven't heard too much.
Yeah.
I think they're, hopeful that he develops into something at this level on our side of the pond. And they're looking at other alternatives.
Yeah.
There are some more names that are starting to pop up. We're hearing more about, Tristan Jarry. And this is more of teams now trying to do their due diligence to see what's available.
Yeah.
We know Philip Gustafson's available, and the Wild have made it clear to everybody.
That's my guy that I want.
That
Gustafson.
he's up for grabs. He's got a solid cap hit.
Yeah.
I tweeted out just right before coming on, Anaheim is very active right now in John Gibson discussions. They're trying to move him.
The 9th year in a row, yeah.
Yep, but
I've been all over that, by the way. You guys
they're
know that.
pushing this one this time around. Look, whether they do it or not, I don't know. We'll see. But they're definitely pushing it. They're being more aggressive.
He saw the new jerseys. He's like, get me the hell out of here.
Oh, you don't like them?
They're gross.
I mean, LA's.
I said
LA's
District
awesome.
5 and just call it a night.
LA's are great.
Yes, LA's are good.
fantastic.
But Anaheim's, I don't need to see a pylon out there. So
I saw the jerseys.
Yeah.
I got to see them before the
Oh,
Cup
yes, you
final.
did.
They brought me in I wasn't allowed to talk about it until today, but sometimes you got to play nice. I usually don't, but this time I said sure. They're nice jerseys.
Yeah.
I saw the Leaf one and everything. It's nice. The difference, there's a little bit of extra breathable stitching on the sides and then a little extra material on the elbows. But other than that, they were pretty much the same. Couldn't really tell the difference.
Okay. Let's shift to free agency now. I won't lie, guys. I am really scared. I think teams make their biggest mistakes on July 1. And then I wake up today. I know I'm on post standard time or Pacific time. And Chris Tanev is linked to the Leafs. And I love Chris Tanev, but the guy blocks shots with his face and not his body. So it scares the shit out of me. The Leafs are linked to him. We know Tree has his guys. I think they're going to overpay for somebody, and this market's going to go insane.
Well, like I said, they want big body defensemen. They want guys that aren't afraid to put their face in front of a puck.
Zadorov,
I mean, Tree's had a hard on for him for a while. So, like that's going to be a guy that he's going to pursue July 1 if he's
But dude,
available.
we're talking about like 5-6 guys making $6 a year. I know the cap's going up.
But that's what you need, man. That's what
Like
this team
Dylan
is missing.
DeMello-
You're missing.
Yeah.
You're missing
balls.
those mid-range guys.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. You need those guys sprinkled in your roster, right? Because those are the guys that help
They
get you
help the
not
Nick
to the
Robertsons
playoffs
along.
through.
They help
right?
the Nick Robertsons
Look,
that
you
you're.
You know, Matthew Nyes, right?
Yeah.
He'll be at that number hopefully a lot sooner than later.
Yeah.
But, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do all these championship teams? What do they add a year or two before they become championship teams, and then add next season?
Yeah.
They add these big body veteran guys. These the intangible pieces
Yeah.
that all these teams miss. These veteran pieces. You look at Florida. What did they do? Nothing crazy, but hey, Kyle Okposo had a big
He was good,
impact
man.
on the team,
Yeah.
both on and off the ice.
Yeah.
You want those extras to add to your group. And then the last couple of years, obviously they make some certain ads. Vegas made a couple ads. Tampa made certain ads. Colorado especially, bringing in Lehkonen.
Yeah.
So you identify certain areas. The Leafs have skill. Tree talked about it again. We got a shitload of skill. All right, awesome. Well, where are the rest of the pieces?
Complement that. Yeah.
You need that.
Yeah. So your best guess in free agency, who are some names to be mindful of from the Toronto perspective? Matt Roy's another guy who's made some waves the last couple of days.
Yeah, and they're still having conversations with LA. Not as physical, but a strong two-way kind of presence. I think if you could bring in that caliber player and then bring in the rugged guy, I think that's perfect fit. Like that's exactly what they would love to do.
Yeah.
Get somebody that's kind of mobile but also is responsible and isn't gonna leave you out to dry.
Yeah.
What TJ Brody was supposed to do. That didn't exactly work out too often, especially later on. And then get your big balls to the wall guy. Get the guy that's going to be that fan favorite that's going to just go nuts and tear people up and play well defensively. Just got to manage expectations too. Like you got to know what you're getting. Don't Larry Murphy anybody.
Yeah. Is there room on this roster for Fraser Minton, Cowan, and Nick Robertson next year?
All three?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about all three. Robertson's name was out there around trade deadline. I haven't heard anything definitive yet, but it wouldn't shock me as they're looking to make moves if he's going to be a guy there. Look, they're not trading Fraser Minton and Easton Cowan. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Tree's made that very abundantly clear to teams that are like, sure, we like this, but we want that kid. And he's giving it the old get out of here. That's not happening. So they like him. They're going to give him an opportunity. But I think Nick is someone that they'll consider like they did around trade deadline if the right fit is there. You got to give a little bit to get, and they're also going to look up because if they don't sign one of or both Bertuzzi and Domi, they're going to have to replace them in some fashion. So whether it's a Dakota Joshua or somebody that fits that's a mid-six interchangeable kind of guy that you can see like those kinds of players are very valuable. You need those types of pieces on this team.
I know people are going to get horned up. We're in Las Vegas. I'm wearing my T-shirt. Thank you to Team LTD for hooking me up last year. I'm fired up. I want to see some activity.
Yeah.
Could tie this into the Maple Leafs conversation. You think the first rounders in play 23rd overall? And do you expect league-wide fireworks over the next couple days?
Overall, yes.
Yeah.
I know we say this crap every year.
Yeah, I know.
And it's got a different vibe this year.
It does.
Maybe it's because of all the oxygen that they're
Sphere.
pumping into the.
Oh, man, I felt good last
I
night.
know.
It was 2. I'm like, let's get after it.
They don't do it, but they do it. They say they don't. It's fresh air. It's fresh air. It's going to help tonight. I'll tell you that much.
Buddy.
That's going to help in the morning, too. Look, Vegas is an interesting. They're in an interesting position because they're trying to get Marchessault signed. Teams are calling about their goalies. They're exploring different options. Some teams are asking about, Shea Theodore. He's got 1 year left. Is he a possibility? William Karlsson's name has popped up with a few different things. With Toronto, that's not going to happen, by the way. He's got a limited no trade. I'll let you put 2 and 2 together.
Marner trade?
But it won't be for him. They're looking at doing a few different things. So if they can pull it off, they're going to have to bring in somebody offensive. They spoke with Chandler Stevenson's camp as well to see if there's at least a fit there. But the sense that I'm getting is primarily they want to try to make a couple different moves trade-wise to see if they can create a little bit of additional cap space before being able to commit to their guys. So they love Marchessault. He loves it here. Him and his Lambo. They hope to get something done. But I think there's a few other things that need to happen before Vegas can take care of the bulk of their work.
Anything else, Stu?
Yeah, I'm gonna preface this question by reminding you that Leafs Nation is closely listening to these words, and you were both at the draft, and you saw the intensity, you saw the attrition, you just saw the pace of play. How many pieces away do you think this Leafs roster is from ultimately getting to that dance that they've been missing out on for these many years?
They need those 2 defensemen, and they don't have to be look at OEL and Dmitry Kulikov.
They were great.
They were the third pair for the Florida Panthers.
They were awesome, though, yeah.
You need that type of depth.
The right pieces, yeah.
Right, the right pieces.
Yeah.
What was the from Miracle? I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for
It's an American movie.
Right,
Only Canada
you
for
don't
me.
believe?
Slapshot,
You
buddy.
don't believe? Okay.
No, I don't believe.
Youngblood.
Oh, yeah. That's another one. Just be careful when you go to the – anyway, never mind. Okay, we're back to where we were. Sorry. They need those 2 guys on the blue line. They need to get those couple guys, the two-way guy and the physical guy. So I think they need that because of the free agents that they have. I'm going to exclude them from the current roster. They need a top 6 winger. They need a mid-6 winger. And personally, they need a proper third-line center. I like the pieces that they've got. Now, Dewar I'm including in the mix because he's an RFA, and I think that was a great add. You add some of the young kids to the mix, but you need that veteran presence. Now, all 3 of those pieces up front are difficult to get in one summer, so maybe you look towards trade deadline to make that type of add. But, realistically, you're looking at five skaters that you need on this team. It's doable. It's just you got to find the right guys to make that blend. When you've got Austin Matthews and, Willie Nylander up front and quasi Mitch Marner, depending on what happens, your window's now. So you've got to make the right moves to get things going. And I think the changes that they made with big dog up top on MLSC that came in.
Oh, why is his name escaping me now?
Totally forgot. The heat's getting to me.
Richard Petty coming in.
Yes. With him coming in, it's shit or get off the pot time. So I think there's going to be some moves that are being made, whether it's free agency or trade, that are going to be with that in mind. And I think it'll be an interesting rest of the month and an interesting July.
I do have a quick follow-up here.
Go
so
ahead.
with winning ultimately number 1 on the list for GM and self-preservation number 2, do you see them going out and making those moves right away, or they're going to be doing it over the course of time?
No, it's now. It's now. You gotta start.
Come on, we're in
not
Vegas.
all the changes now. Again, trade deadline and whatnot, but it's now. What the hell are you waiting for?
Exactly.
Now you've got the right pieces in place, and you've got the young kids stepping up. You have Nyes that has the experience.
Yeah.
So Adam, give him more responsibility. You've got either Minton or Cowan that's going to generate some time with this club, maybe both. You need those pieces with the vets, with the superstars. That leads to a pretty good, successful team. You look at Florida, and they're young kids that were there. Luosterainen, Lundell was fantastic.
Yeah.
Those guys, they had a few years experience, and now, Stanley Cup champs.
Yeah, me and Rosie have been saying that I think we're actually anticipating next summer to be the summer the Maple Leafs do something huge, but just never know. There's moving parts.
I get because, Tavares will be off the books, and If you do keep him, he's probably in the $7 million range, maybe. So you shore up money there. But again, I'm anticipating something happening with Mitch. So
there's the quote. Clip it right now.
Because of that, now's the time.
All right, you want to stick around for a betting segment just to make it easier here?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. It's time for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You guys got any bets for anything to transpire this week in the draft or also in free agency? Anything you want to link? Or a ticket for next year in the Stanley Cup. Who wins the Cup next year?
I'm not touching that till after.
Winnipeg.
Oh, because Paul Maurice said it.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we'll see at least one of the top 10 picks move.
Okay.
I think we're going to see at least one in that top 10 shift. I don't know if it's going to be outright or if it's going to be a team moving up or whatnot, but I would say that I don't know what the odds are, but I'd throw something down on the fact that at least one top 10 pick will be moved in the next few days.
Pasadena, New Jersey.
Okay.
Per sources.
That's a good one.
I think I'm going to get Stewie to go downstairs here at Circa, and he's going to put out a ticket for the Leafs to win the Cup next year in Vegas.
That'd be good.
I might do it too.
I'd put $100 on it.
Yeah.
Why not?
I might throw some money down.
You saw the tweet, right? The tweet. I was
Did
saying
you see this tweet?
No. The last two teams that hosted All-Star Weekend
yes, I did. Yep.
won the Cup.
Yep.
So that's fate.
Well, it's going to suck the following year because no one's hosting it.
Yeah, so who's winning? Nobody's winning,
well,
I guess.
Boston or Montreal.
Yeah, because they're hosting
because they're hosting that magical tournament.
I'm still trying to get over Canada playing in Boston against Finland, but
we can also put $1,000 on the draft next year going remote.
Well, there you have it.
I might throw some down on Montreal. Edmonton or Detroit to host the next draft.
Okay.
There's been talk of that. I throw that down, and I might even throw some dollars down on LA and Jake Gensel.
Oh,
nice.
So not Vancouver.
LA. I don't know.
Okay.
I know Detroit and LA are going to be right up there trying to.
Yeah, Detroit's up to something. That's the one thing we didn't ask you, eh?
Yeah, they got something cooking. They got a couple things
like
cooking.
32 mil, is it in cap?
Yeah. Well, they got their guys to sign.
Yeah.
But I was told they got something big, and then I was also threatened to shut my mouth. So.
Not the first time, not the last time, right?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
And again, Utah. Watch for Utah.
Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. First and foremost, thank you to Stadium Swim for hosting. Thank you to Stewie for dropping by the set today. Jay Roseau is going to be back in the mix tomorrow, although he's back in Alberta. But I'll let him know how good Vegas is. We'll have a good time tomorrow as we get closer and closer to the draft. We'll preview the draft coming up tomorrow as well. Stephen Ellis, Matt Larkin are going to drop by. Dave, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Dave Pagnotta to the fourth period, NHL Network at SiriusXM, NHL Network Radio. Don't forget to subscribe at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button as well. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Many thanks to producer Vic, Amal, and RJ on set here on location. Just phenomenal job, boy. The location is incredible. Again, all I need is a bottle service here, and we're good. But we're going to talk to a couple of people behind the scenes here. We're going to make that work. Again, this has been the Wednesday edition of Leafs Morning Take. We'll talk tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
Shout out, Vic.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.